Namaste Manika ma'am, Manisha ma'am, Madhur ma'am, teachers and students. A very warm welcome to the 2022 Senior Council Face to Face. Today, we'll be hearing speeches by candidates nominated for the positions of head girl, head boy, head of activities, and head of sports.
Congratulations to everyone who's made it this far into the process. And to everyone who didn't, we're so proud of you for trying out and just stepping out of your comfort zone. Please stay motivated because I promise you that you're going to have so many more leadership opportunities in the future, and you have the potential to do so many amazing things even without the badge.
Just like the last few election cycles, this process was entirely virtual, but the interviews were all so impressive this year. And the level of creativity and effort we saw in each student's campaign was truly unmatched. We hope that you were all able to see the incredible posters and videos on the campaigning website.
So, before we begin with the head of council speeches, Adar and I just wanted to take a minute to thank each and every one of you for making our year in this position so special and putting your trust in us. Our term was definitely unlike anything we expected, but we truly did draw strength from your resilience and just being able to connect with all of you. So, thank you. It's been an honor. With that being said, we'll now move on to speeches for the position of head girl. Your three candidates for this post are Kavya Ryan, Sarvika Bawa, and Tia Bhalla. Your first candidate is Kavya Ryan.
11th March 2020, the day the world changed. I think it's safe for me to say that the last 2 years for all of us have consisted of uncertainty, fear, a little hope, and a lot of strength. These 4 terms roughly sum up our experiences with the pandemic, but for me, they also encapsulate the journey that has brought me here. The journey that's allowing me to say something I've been dreaming of saying for as long as I can remember, so here goes everything. Namaste everyone. My name is Kavya Ryan, and I stand before you today, hoping with all my heart to be your next head girl. My 11th March 2020 was 4th April 2016, the day my world changed, my first day of senior school. A very intimidated yet excited Kavya took her first steps into her unpredictable future. She didn't know what to expect, yet she expected a lot. But on 8th of April, in her first assembly in senior school, she saw a glimpse of what she wanted out of her future. Something about Sanchi Bhatia, the head girl at the Times, welcoming words, warm smile, and motivated mindset made scared little Kavya feel like she belongs in a place she barely even knew. The one thing she knew instantly, though, was that she wanted to be that person for all of you. If there's one thing that I've always been sure of, it's that I want to be your head girl. I want to be the person to make a 6th grader who feels alone realize that they're not. To help a confused 7th grader understand that this is just the beginning of their journey of self-discovery. To tell every 8th grader that this is the time for them to try everything new. To be there for the 9th graders who are going through their first breakup. And for the 10th graders who are struggling with preparing for their boards because the only thing that was constant for them this year was that nothing was constant. I want to be there for the 11th graders who are expected to figure everything out at a time when it's impossible to figure anything out. And I want to make sure that the last few months my seniors have left in school are memorable for them, regardless of the circumstances. Many times in the last 6 years, my nerves made me question myself and my capabilities as a candidate. But when things became overwhelming, there was always someone in school, whether it was a teacher, senior, classmate, or junior, to remind me to focus on what really matters. And that's exactly what I spent the last 6 years doing, working towards becoming a better version of myself. This quality of always wanting to be better than I was yesterday is something Shriram instilled in me. And for that, I am eternally grateful. From committing myself to sports in grade 6 itself and learning the importance of perseverance, to finding ways to ensure I'm able to maintain my grades while doing so, and learning the importance of hard work. From working towards my co-curriculars such as music and writing and developing new skills, to enhancing my leadership skills through the experiences I was lucky enough to have as sports secretary last year. Everything I've done in the last 6 years has led me here. I want to be able to give back to the place that has given me so much. So here's what I would like to build on. I want us to become more comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations to help students open up and strengthen the connect they have with school. Let's have sessions dedicated specifically to these topics. Let's collaborate with the school counselors and let's help each other. I want to make sure that your voices are heard. I'd like to send out forms in the start of the school year that ask students about the expectations from the coming year, the problems they faced in the previous one, and any suggestions that they might have. Now, it's time for me to conclude this speech. I'm not entirely sure how to do that because summing up the many years of love, laughter, lessons, and kurkuri bhindi the school has provided me with seems almost impossible. But sixth grade Kavya would have thought that her being here just a few years later is impossible too. So before I leave, I'd like to say this. I promise to be the head girl who you can speak to about your grades drama, and we all know batch 2024 has a lot of it. But I also promise to be the head girl who you can speak to when you're struggling mentally. I promise to be the head girl who's always ready to have fun with you, but I also promise to be the head girl who pushes you to work as hard as you can towards becoming the best version of yourself. I can't promise you that the coming year will not be filled with uncertainty, fear, but what I can promise you is that I will be the little hope and strength you need throughout. So, one last time, my name is Kavya Ryan, and I'm standing before you today, ready to give you all that I have to offer, hoping that soon enough I'm able to say that 27 January 2022 is the day my world changed once again. Thank you.
That was a really good speech, Kavya. My question for you is, what do you think will be the most important responsibility you'll have as head girl?
I think the most important responsibility I'll have as head girl is that I'd be a role model to students from each grade. And I think for that, I need to be able to do my best in every aspect of my school life and my personal life, because I think that when a sixth grader first comes in, they look up to you, they start to imitate the things that you do and just learn from you. So I would say that my biggest responsibility would be to be a good role model. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavya. Our second candidate is Sarvika Bawa.
I'm in 7th grade. It's 8:15 on a hot summer morning, and I walk into class only to find two guys daring each other to break their legs so that they can use the elevator, three kids huddled together as they try to decide on the synchronized steps to do when Lean On randomly plays on the speaker, four girls frantically flipping through their diaries for notes their parents wrote to miss swimming, and ketchup all over the curtains and ceiling. Yes, Karthik, please don't think anyone has forgotten. And I realize I've never felt more at home. Whether it's being in 6th, trying to sneak into the lower part of the Audi during bandstand so we could dance with the seniors, or in 9th when we had to explain to all the non-Shira mites why we have holidays is because our school broke down, or in 11th, making everyone in class make stories on Chota Bheem and Spider-Man. This school is not only been the one place where I would willingly have Orangilo again and again, no matter how much I regret it afterwards, it's also the one place that helped me become who I am and has given everything to me. When 10-year-old Sarvika, with a braid longer than her height, nearly in tears, got lost on her first day, it was a then head girl, Sanchi Bhatia, who not only helped me find my way, but bought me samosas and dropped me back to class. It was that moment as I walked into my class feeling like a celebrity, with Medini and Maya staring in awe at the tall 12th grader who had just dropped me off and waved me goodbye, that I realized I want to be that person when I grow up. The true representation of a Ramite. No, I do not mean a free samosa supplier, but a person who shows empathy, kindness, and makes sure that every student feels comfortable at all times. I'm Sarvika Bawa, sitting across you on the team screen today, asking you to give me a chance to be that person for you. To the batch of 2022, I know how disappointing it can be that we still have a screen between us, but I promise you, the moment school opens, I'm going to work tirelessly to make your last few months as special as you've made all these years for us in school. To the batch of 23 and 24, these are our years, and I'm going to ensure that all your ideas and concerns are heard and implemented. Maybe not inter-house bachelorette, but nearly everything else. Since these days things are constantly changing, I believe it's even more important to have an effective channel of communication, to do things like town hall structured meetings with each grade where there's complete confidentiality and students can express whatever's on their mind, or even having a letterbox placed in school. So you could write letters to the head of council, either anonymously or signed, and get your answers on a one-page website. Having transparency and open communication is of utmost importance. In the past few months, being in the junior council has taught me a lot. The biggest learning being that the process of implementation is as, if not more, important than having good ideas. I was able to ensure that all the ideas were implemented and seen through till the end. I also feel that due to the fact I've been involved in various activities through the years, like Kathak, theater, athletics, basketball, I feel that if there was ever an event that needed managing, I could not only provide a well-rounded perspective due to my own experience in these events, but also effectively and efficiently coordinate across departments, having worked with them numerous times before. A school experience online where you can't walk aimlessly around campus while talking to your friends during lunch, forget your tights in yoga, and somehow still manage in very tight school pants, stand in line and convince bhaiya that it is in fact your first cup of ice cream, that other kid must have been your doppelganger, or have class outside together in the sun when it gets too cold in winters isn't what you deserve. This is exactly why I feel that along with events like bandstand, dance, lit fest, grad, we should include other offline events to make up for the years behind. We have such talented artists in the school, and in order to provide them a platform, I propose we have an intra-school art fair where societies like graphic design, art, culinary, etc. could set up stalls to showcase their talents, and we could have subsequent competitions and events. I also feel that while in junior school, we had a lot of emphasis on being in touch with our heritage. When I came to senior school, I didn't feel as connected. To tackle this, I propose on having a heritage day where we could write our names in different languages, get mehendi put, have teachers do catwalks, put up events and dance performances to celebrate this wonderful country and be in touch with our heritage. I'm not too sure how to end this, but a school where our teachers don't try to explain the meaning of drip and swag in an assembly, where everyone does not hoot the moment the light goes off, and where getting the gate pass signed is harder than the Hunger Games, is no school of mine. I don't think there's anything I love more than the school, and there's anyone I love more than Canteen Bhaiya when he lets us buy food in the middle of PE. I'm going to put in everything I can to make the school all you've ever wanted it to be. And I promise I won't let you down or let baby Sarvika in class 5 down, who wanted nothing more than to be that same person for you 7 years later. Once again, I'm Sarvika Bawa, standing before you today, hoping to be your next head girl.
Thank you so much for that speech, Sarvika. I just have one question for you. What do you consider to be a weakness of yours? And if you get this position, how will you work on improving that?
I feel that one weakness of mine is that when I'm passionate about something, I tend to get a little obsessive, and I try to do as much as I can, and it does get to me. I feel that being in the junior council last year as vice captain, one way to tackle it is to get to know that it's okay if you're not the best at it or if you don't do as well, because at the end of it, it all that matters if you learn something for it. Like I remember that Himgri lost a lot of events that weren't related to sports, and I remember feeling really bogged down by it because of the amount of effort that was put into it, and because I'm a little obsessive about the things that I do. So after that, after realizing that we're not too good at it, I came up with intra weekly events so that we could work on it. So I feel that if we didn't have the failure, I wouldn't have come up with something else. So I think that's how, even if I am head girl, I feel that this is something that I can use and I can carry forward. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sarvika. Our last candidate for the position of head girl is Tia Bhalla.
So from finding out that the rocks were haunted to junior school, to stitching my pants with Rehmat in the nurse room, watching Ria get reprimanded for making her imaginary musically, to when we were in 6th grade and Saranya and I decided that we had a crush on every single 8th grader. The feelings of happiness and love that I felt in this school are inexplicable. Coming to an end of my high school life, I've realized how much this school has done for me. Every opportunity I've received, every meaningful friendship I've created, the school has definitely shaped my identity. And the sense of community in the school means so much to me. And I think it's time to give back to a place that's given me so much. Being head girl is a responsibility to be the best, most kind and caring version of yourself, and an opportunity to make a change. That's what being head girl means to me. And I believe in myself to do right by this post and to do right by all of you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bhalla, and I'm hoping to be your next head girl. So while writing the speech, I realized that I'm asking you all to vote for me, but a lot of us don't really know what a head girl does. So I'm going to help you make a more informed vote. I'm going to tell you all the duties of a head girl and why, based on those factors, you should vote for me. More importantly, I'm going to tell you what separates me from other candidates. So to me, a head girl represents the students to the administration and acts as a conduit between the two. Basically, a head girl represents you, what you want, and what you need. And in order to do this, you need to be able to understand arguments from different points of view and then collate them into more reasonable points. So I feel like I'm uniquely capable of doing this because I'm basically a mediator for all my friends. And as you know, they have a lot of problems. So taking small arguments and turning it into something more concise is what I've been doing for a while now. And it's what makes me confident that I can do this. I think that a head girl needs to be articulate and confident as she navigates school assemblies and coordinates and regulates the functioning of the council and other events. So here again, I have a fair bit of experience. I stood on a windowsill and addressed my captive audience, my dogs, to maintain silence, and they have complied, feigning rapt fascination with doting eyes. But in all seriousness, I feel like I'm well suited for this because during my time at the school, I participated in every event that I possibly could, which means that I have the insight to help events and sports in any way that I can. So with my experience, I strongly believe that I will be able to empathize with the heads of the department and allow the functions of the council to be carried out with utmost coordination and synchrony. It's a given that a head girl has to be organized, responsible, and honest. So other than this, what makes me different from other candidates? I'm not going to try and convince you in a 5-minute speech, especially because I know I'm already pushing it. But you know me, and you know that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And it's not like I'm looking to make any drastic change, but only to build on the strengths of our Shri community to make it a more diverse yet inclusive environment. We have to celebrate and respect each other. For the past 2 years, we have been in and out of quarantine, and it's had its toll on everyone's mental health. And therefore, I feel like prioritizing mental health seems like a good idea. For this, I would like to revive the Happiness Week that was originally started by Apurvi. Look, all I'm trying to say is that this school is so special. And the only thing I think it needs is someone to bring out the best in everyone. And that's what I want to do. The strong sense of community that this school has given me and the supportive people I have met in my journey here have shaped me into being the person I am today. I hope that I've convinced you that I can handle the responsibility of being a head girl, but that I also look forward to tackling all the challenges that come along with it. I would love to be a part of making sure you get the same experience and feel the same way I do about the school. So, for one last time, my name is Bhalla, and I stand before you. Well, sit, but stand before you, hoping to stand with you. Thank you.
Great speech, Tia. If you were to get this position, what is one thing that you would improve upon from last year?
So in terms of improving upon, we all know that, online school, as I said, it's taken its toll on everyone. And it's not that interactive. And it's not because the teachers don't switch on their cameras, it's because every student is, not paying attention and doing their own thing. And I don't blame anyone for that because it's so easy to phase out because I feel like sometimes I'm just sitting on my bed and I'll phase out because I feel like I'm listening to an audiobook. But, in like those classes where we do switch on our cameras and we don't even realize it, while like looking at our friends, making faces, recording each other secretly, we automatically end up paying more attention. We're just like, yeah, school was fun. We did this. And you just realize it and retain it. So from the past year, that's one thing that I definitely think I would like to change.
Thank you so much, Tia. I would now like to invite Adir to please introduce the nominees for Head Boy.
Thank you so much, Dia. Now we're going to move on to the post of head boy. Our nominees for this year are Abhyuday Sikri, Arav Wadwani, Yvonne Berry, and Vidur Khosla. Without any further ado, I'd like to invite our first nominee, Abhyuday Sikri, to deliver his speech.
It's the summer of 2019, and a young boy has just entered a classroom on the second floor of Cluster B. He looks up at the mayhem going on. The teacher in the room is calling someone nalayak for not wearing school socks. A tall figure, and in comparison, a child looking the exact opposite of me is sitting next to him, and the two of them are mindlessly bickering with each other. That is my first impression of the Shriram School Moulsari. The person who was wearing wrong jarabe was Navkaran Singh Rekhi. The tall figure described as a treat by his own cousin is Arav, and the person who looks totally unlike me is Daksh Suri. Okay, I may have lied about the last part. To be honest, my first year was as eventful as it could get. I learned a lot about the various dynamics in school, finally figured out who or what a Nutri Nugget was, tried our school samosas for the first time with Take My Breath Away playing in the background, I think, and witnessed my first drama in the SUPW trip. So why is it that I'm sitting here to be your next head boy? Well, it all goes back to the first time I saw a farewell speech given by Ishayu Nath. I was absolutely enchanted with the stories he had to share and the way in which he articulated his points so beautifully. And in true Ramite fashion, I went ahead and applied for as many posts as I could get, only to be rejected by Srishti for the post of House Representative twice, rejected for the Vice Captain role, and finally failing to snag the Secretary of Activities post last year. Thankfully, I took a multitude of rejections in my stride and decided that the people wanted something else. After the junior council elections, I tried out a plethora of activities, both inter-house and extracurricular. Read and watched so many speeches given by famous leaders like Pritika Vij and Dhruv Bindra. Read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Listened to Face Off a million times to the point where all my Spotify recommendations are just Dwayne Johnson fan edits. And rewatched Frozen to understand why Aditya Mehta loves it so much. And on that last point, I do agree, Frozen is beautiful. And by now, you should have constructed a picture of the kind of person I am. Someone who is hardworking, honest, extremely enthusiastic, innovative, and open minded. These are some of the traits alongside my leadership skills that I believe make me well suited to this position. Above and beyond these skills, a head of council should also be extremely adaptable and flexible. And this is proven by the fact that I have lived in multiple cities across Asia and thrived in an atmosphere of diversity and variation throughout my life. To help you remember, KSI is what is to JJ Olatunji as Kia is to me, knowledge, integrity, and approachability. And I don't mean the car company. Lastly, aside from being a position of authority, I will also use my roles as head boy to push some of my own ideas to make 2022 a little less chaotic than the preceding pandemic years. Firstly, I want to work with the school authorities to ensure that grad will take place. Everyone's desperate to give our seniors a great send off, and it would honestly be really relieving to be back in school to pass on diyas, dance, sing, or perform in the audi, albeit among socially distanced measures. I believe the student council has also grown slightly disconnected from the junior grades, and as a result, we should open the student council up for greater transparency. If it means having monthly Q&A sessions or just an open forum between the student council and each grade individually to address queries, issues, and raise ideas for us to implement. Additionally, we should highlight the wonderful work many individuals are doing at this time. So each student-led organization should have the opportunity to design its own website to express their accomplishments and highlight their work. I also want to work with the activities department to introduce a weekly creative period in case school remains online, which I spoke about in my campaigning video. And about that, thank you Sachi Dameja and Devyani Verma for helping me out. To conclude, I want to quote Mother Teresa by saying, Ramites, you can do what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do, but together we can do great things. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great speech, Abhyuday. My question to you is, what makes you a good role model for juniors?
Okay, so what makes me a good role model for juniors is that I'm obviously hardworking, honest, I'm very enthusiastic, and I believe I have an open-minded mindset. So what that means is I think that I have the necessary skills and tools to be a role model to the juniors and to try and teach them some of the new innovative ideas that we have around us in our school and try and bring up that sort of an environment for them to be inspired by.
All right. Thank you so much for that answer. Our next candidate is Arav Wadhwani.
Why do we love the Sri Ram school? Honestly, if you'd ask me, I'd just say it's the samosas. But other than that, it's the friendships we make here, right? It's the memories, the time we spend together. It's those little things, like when you're supposed to have a class, but you end up getting a free period. Or that rush you get, that thrill, when you know you're late for the bus, but you still so desperately want that orange chilo. Now, after nearly 2 years of online school, we're hopefully going to be going back to school as we once remembered it. And for my batch, the batch of 2023 at least, it's probably going to be our last shot at a somewhat normal school life. Namaste. I am Arav Vadvani, and I'm standing here hoping to be your next head boy. Hoping that together we can make a solid comeback and get back all those memories we've missed. Right, so 2 quick facts about me. Firstly, I'm a tech guy. I love computers. And if you saw my campaigning video, you would have seen that I've been doing robotics competitions, hackathons, programming, and entrepreneurial projects for basically my whole life now. And secondly, I'm a leader by nature. All these competitions and startup projects I have worked on in the past have helped me learn the arts of leading a team, delegating work, inspiring others, and being an approachable and innovative person. Now, what would I do as your head boy? Firstly, as your head boy, I would bring in that X factor of combining my tech knowledge with my leadership abilities to make sure you get the best of both the online and the offline world. Secondly, I would work towards getting as much as offline school as possible and give it my 100% to ensure that events such as Grad, Litfest, and Bandstand can actually take place. Third, to ensure a smooth transition from the online world to the offline one, I would work closely with the activities department to organize small games, events, or competitions so that all of you find it easy to interact with each other and settle in. Next, over the past 2 years, I personally have transformed myself to adopt a much healthier lifestyle, both in terms of my physical health and fitness and my mental health. As a head boy and role model, I would look to guide and encourage all of you to strive for the same so that not only can you handle your academic pressure better, but also grow as individuals. And lastly, I believe in collaboration and teamwork. I believe every student who holds a post at our school, be it the student council members, the ed board, or the secretary and heads of activities, have a special or a unique skill to offer. I'd like to set up a platform or a forum where all members from these 3 segments can come together to ideate, create, give feedback, and solve issues by utilizing each other's talents. To conclude, why should you vote for Arav Vadvani? Vote for Arav Vadvani so I can be your voice. Vote for Arav Vadvani so we can make 2022 an exciting year. And lastly, vote for Arav Vadvani so we can take our school to new heights. Once again, I'm Arav Vadvani and I'm standing here hoping to be your next head boy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arav. I wanted to ask what you think you can do to help make the school more inclusive.
Right. So one of the ideas I discussed in my speech was setting up a forum. And that forum would primarily be for the ed board, the society heads, and the student council to come together. This, I feel, could be a platform where we could address issues regarding the entire student body and make sure that we work towards the betterment of the entire student body. We could collaborate, ideate, come up with new ways to help the students. So yeah, I think that's one way I could actually work for the betterment of all our students.
So much for that answer, Arav. Our next candidate is Vidal Khosla.
A wise man once said, with great power comes great responsibility. Now I know what you're thinking. Vidut Khosla, you are not nearly attractive enough to be Spider-Man. And that's true. So that's why I'm really happy to say that Uncle Ben's words have inspired me in a very different way. Because this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for since 7th grade. The chance to be the protagonist of a story where a shy 11-year-old with crooked buck teeth goes on to become the head boy of this school. And so I approached writing this speech the way I'm sure a lot of students before me have approached their math homework. Frustration, torn up sheets of paper, and a solid 2 hours of praying that everything works out. Then I realized that this really shouldn't be a speech. I'm standing for head boy, and this should be a promise from me to the people that I've called home for the last 13 years. So hi guys, my name is Vidal Khosla, and I'm standing for the post of head boy. So what does head boy mean? I think there's a lot more to being head boy than hosting events and giving a speech. Being head boy is about being the person who Ramites can approach when uncomfortable topics like drugs and circulation of inappropriate content comes up. But I think even more importantly, it's about being the person who can go up to a shy seventh grader who just needs someone to put their arm around them and say, hey, don't worry, it's going to be okay. It's about being able to empathize with the student body. For me, the person who made me feel like I belong to this school was Dhruv Binza. And I know that irrespective of how many times school gets shut down because of pollution, a heat wave, a cold wave, or the pandemic, if I can have a similar impact on my juniors, then it all would have been worth it. So firstly, I want juniors and seniors to communicate more. I want council members and students to talk about anything on their mind. And that can range from the next Taylor Swift album to having a heart-to-heart with an eighth grade about peer pressure they might be facing. And I think we can do this by setting up forms where students can enter what they want to talk about and which council member they'd feel comfortable talking to. Now, something that I personally struggled with at that stage was finding out that some of my closest friends would be at the other end of the school in the IG building. And that did not make things easy for 11-year-old me, especially since students aren't allowed to use the lift. And this division that exists between the two boards in our school is anything but good, because I've met so many incredible people who I've only had the opportunity of meeting through junior council. And I know for the fact that if I hadn't been elected, I never would have found out how amazing and talented they are. So therefore, when we have growing up workshops, when we have talks with guests, career counseling sessions and form evenings, there has to be a conscious attempt at ensuring students across boards get to interact with one another and actually realize how incredible they all are. But more specifically, there's a couple of things on my bucket list that I really want to tick off. Because the same way there's only 104 days of summer vacation, our school lives are also eventually going to come to an end. Batch of 2022, I'm pretty sure you have less than 104 days of school left. But even then, and though there have been a lot of things that have been said about you, no one can deny that you've paved the way for us and shown an incredible amount of resilience. And this school is going to feel a lot less like home without you in it. And having been heavily involved in the planning process, I know how badly the entire Sri family wants your grad to happen. So I promise you that I will give you the send-off that you deserve. And unlike the generator, I won't let you down. To my batch, the batch of 2023, that has such a nice ring to it, the batch of 2023. I know we've lost out on some valuable time in school, but I want you to put your faith in me as the head of council who will be able to make up for those memories and missed opportunities. I've already spoken about having an activities carnival in my other speech, and I also want to have a society day where every society gets to present their talents at different places in school. And as we walk through our corridors, we get to experience the incredible things that they can do. To the batch of 2024, my juniors. Now, personally, I don't know how incredible 11th grade can be because that opportunity was taken away from me. But it was still one of the most interesting years of my life. And I promise to be the head boy who's going to be there for you every single step of the way and make sure that you get the 11th grade that people dream about. I'll be your biggest cheerleader when you excel and your shoulder to lean on in case you don't. This school has given me the liberty to question labels, the platform to try my best, and the opportunity to make a difference. And I want to give back to my home, the place where it takes 3 years to renovate an auditorium, the place where the most terrible cold coffee on the planet costs an outrageous 85 rupees, and the place that, if nothing else, puts a smile on my face. So once again, my name is Vidal Khosla, and it would be an absolute privilege to be your next head boy.
Thank you so much for that insightful speech, Vidal. I wanted to ask you what you think the most important thing is that sets you apart from the other candidates.
Okay, so I think there are a lot of really good candidates standing for this post, but I think the one thing that sets me apart is the experiences that I've had with past council members before me, people like Ishayu and Dhruv, who've made me feel comfortable in school. And therefore, I know the importance that nothing more than a 5-minute conversation can have with a junior. And that's something that I really want to do in the upcoming year.
Thank you for that, Vidal. Our last candidate for today is Yvonne Berry.
January 19th, 2018. 12-year-old me sat at the back of the auditorium as Ritesh sir announced that we would be doing Lion King for our form evening. In that moment, I knew I wanted to be Simba. So I got onto stage, gave a killer audition and got the role. Now, that would have been a great story to tell about my debut on stage if it were true. But that isn't exactly how it happened. A, I never actually got the lead role, but instead played the royal advisor Zazu. B, it probably took me 100-minute conversations just to get that accent right. And C, I was a lot more apprehensive than confident. So you must be wondering, that's all well and good, but how exactly does it relate to what we're here for today? Well, back then, 12-year-old me didn't believe he was ready to audition for any role at all. But having entertained my friends with mimicry, it was their encouragement that made me try out. And after that, I was hooked. I found that I couldn't stop myself from participating in drama the next year and the year after that. And that, I think, is the true value of community. It pushes us to try, even when it's easy to sit out. It pushes us beyond our comfort zone because that is where we grow and can truly have an impact. And that is why I'm here today, because to me, each and every one of you is an invaluable part of this community. And I want to be that person who can help this school, our community, become the best version it can be. When someone or something has given you so much, it's only natural for you to want to give back. Namaskar, everyone. My name is Yvonne ambery, and I stand here asking you for the opportunity to let me give back to a place that I've called home for the past 13 years. I stand before you today, hoping to be your next head boy. I'm going to start off by telling you a bit about why I believe I am the best fit for this post. Being a head of council to me is so much more than, say, spearheading council meetings or even catalyzing the decision-making process. It's about open communication, a commitment to making a change, and a vision to create an inclusive space for everyone, regardless of whether someone prefers Star Wars to Lord of the Rings. Having worked closely with the senior management through my past leadership experience as Secretary of Activities and Form Rep, I understand what it takes to have a vision and then see it through. I want to be that head boy who you can turn to for anything, be it to bring up a pertinent issue or even just to gossip, because all jokes aside, I do love gossip. I want to be the person who pushes you to challenge yourself so that together we can make a positive change in this school. I promise to be approachable, to be there as a friend, because there's one thing I've learned from my time in the Deputy Council. It's that each of you are this school's most valuable assets. Your ambitions, your ideas, your concerns, they mean the most to me. So I hope that you will trust me to be the person who ensures your ideas are brought to the table. In short, I want to be to you what Adir, Dhruv, and Ishayu were to me. Someone who makes you want to use your voice to make a difference because you know it's your most powerful tool. I'd like to end my speech with a few ideas that I hope to implement if I become head boy. One of the most important steers for change, in my opinion, is mental health and inclusivity. So I'll dive right into it. Firstly, I believe anonymous letterboxes placed throughout school will ensure that anyone's queries can be answered anonymously without any apprehension of judgment. Secondly, candid discussion is, in my opinion, the best way to underline important issues through a leadership conclave with a mental health and happiness edition, which can include student-led panel discussions, tips from our teachers and peers on how they alleviate stress, and interviews with experts. Often we find ourselves challenged by intimidating schedules. Stress is something that plagues everyone at some point in their lives, and while it may not always seem like such a big deal, I think it can affect us to a great extent. Therefore, simple, easy to install, easy to do stress buster activities and spaces should be created throughout school so that students and teachers can just take a moment to relax and have fun. This can be through BuzzFeed quizzes and CT periods, class movies at the end of the month, and listening to your favorite songs at the end of the day. Lastly, to me, it is your suggestions that are the most important. So, building on a system of virtual surveys, I think can greatly help the school incorporate your ideas and your concerns. I'm not here to give you empty promises because I know all of you are smarter than that. I'm here asking each of you to put your faith in me because I promise I will not let you down. I promise that together we will make this school a more inclusive space, a place all of us can call home, so that that boy in 7th grade doesn't have to think twice before auditioning, knowing that even if he falls, he will always have the support of this community to help him get back up on his feet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great speech, Yvonne. I wanted to ask what your most important learning from your time in the Deputy Council was.
So I think my most important lesson from my time in the Deputy Council is the fact that it's really important to stay motivated and to stay sort of inspired, no matter what you do, because I think, if that lacks, then you're not able to give your 100% and you're not able to give your all. So I think, as I mentioned in my speech, a few of the suggestions that I brought up, like BuzzFeed quizzes in classes, class movies, and stuff like that, I think that helps us connect better with our teachers and peers and helps us stay more motivated in a time like this.
Thank you so much for that answer, Yvonne. Next up, I'd like to request Aditya Mehta to introduce the candidate standing for head of activity.
Thank you for that, Arthur. For the head of activities position, we have 5 candidates. Those are Maher Sandhu, Rohan Kathuria, Udayaman Chopra, Vidal Khosla, and Yvonne Berry. Now, all of you have made it past a difficult nomination stage, and I have complete faith in you. Best of luck to everyone, and let me introduce you to your first candidate, Maher Sandhu.
From toddler to teen, as far as my memories can be seen, I've dragged my mum around for probably every class imaginable. Ballet, guitar, tennis, karate, public speaking, swimming, singing, painting, embroidery, horse riding, calligraphy, knitting, and the list just goes on and on. In short, you can name an activity and I've tried it. Namaste. I'm Maher Sandhu and I want to be your next head of activities. While I've been fortunate enough to have participated in school competitions featuring most of my interests, I do know what it's like to not have the chance to showcase some of your more obscure hobbies. That is why I want to make the events planned in the coming year centered around what you want. I want to give you the freedom to decide the events, to suggest possible ideas, and have in-depth discussions with us. Using this platform, I would like to talk about 3 new events I plan to put on the school calendar. First, I'd like to make TSRS Moulsari a Round Square school. Round Square is a non-competitive conference hosted by different schools throughout the year. That's putting it really simply. In reality, it is so much more. It is a melting pot of ideas and cultures and helps you build a holistic worldview. It gives you the opportunity to not only meet and interact with students from different countries and develop lifelong friendships, but also interact with some of the most inspirational people from around the world. For example, a few years ago, a friend of mine attended a conference where she had the privilege of meeting His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Each conference you attend teaches you essential life skills and exposes you to activities that you may have otherwise not come across. Whether that be something as simple as learning tie and dye or something as complicated as learning how to blow glass or make LED bulbs. Round Square has taught me to become more confident and often step out of my comfort zone. I want to give each and every one of you the opportunity to benefit from this experience just as much as I did. Second, I would like to introduce a bi-monthly literature debate. Here, rather than analyzing novels and authors, I want the participants to embody their favorite characters and defend their actions. As a Potterhead with multiple cupboards full of memorabilia, here's an interesting debate scenario. Just imagine Severus Snape defending himself in front of the Ministry of Magic. To plan this event, I would roll out a survey so that you, the students, are able to suggest the books and characters you would like to debate about. Third, I would like to establish Open Book, a podcast run by the students of our school for the students of our school. A major problem of the pandemic-ridden world we live in is a feeling of isolation and loneliness. This podcast aims to fix that, being available to anyone to discuss anything on their mind. Whether that be sharing personal anecdotes, discussing mental health, feminism, LGBTQ+ rights, reviewing books, movies, places to eat at, or simply giving life lessons. I want to give you a voice. I want you to be heard. Honestly, a few minutes is just not enough time to tell you everything I have planned. Besides what I mentioned earlier, I definitely want to bring back bandstand, dance, and all the other pre-pandemic activities that we have so dearly missed. I want to make the activities department for the students, of the students, and by the students, ensuring no idea, no suggestion, no feedback you give goes unheard. I want you to be able to get in touch with me, whether that be directly or by giving your suggestions in surveys that we will initiate to better understand what events you want. And why should you vote for me? Besides all the exciting events I have planned for the coming year, I'm dedicated, determined, passionate, hardworking, creative, and a really fun person to be around, even if I say so myself. I'd like to end by quoting a wise man. He recently said, "Vote Meher for head of activities." So what if that man happens to be my father? Trust me, he's a good and honest man. Thank you. My name is Maher Sandhu, and I want to be your next head of activities.
Thank you for your speech, Maher. You've introduced some lovely ideas. How do you intend to increase participation for these ideas?
All right. So firstly, I'm going to go idea-wise. For Round Square, I would have people who've actually attended Round Square to come up and give their experience. I remember when I was in, I think, 7th or 8th grade, when Round Square was like first introduced, we had a couple of students come up in assemblies and discuss their experiences. And when you hear the stories, when you hear about the things you do, the people you meet, the different countries you can visit, then you actually feel interested. As for lit debate, because you will have surveys and you will have the participants' choices, I don't think participation should be a problem because they will want to talk about those books and movies and characters. And thirdly, for the podcast, I would like to have it on like a form, a Google form, so that you volunteer. And if we have multiple topics, like every time we talk about something new, I feel like students decide what those topics are. I feel like they will be more inclined to fill up the form and just go out and talk. And it's more personal than discussing in front of an assembly where you're addressing thousands of people. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Maher. Your next candidate is Rohan Kathuria.
8:44 p.m. on 19 June 2021. That is when a United Airlines flight from New York City landed at Indira Gandhi International Airport. While I was on this flight, the nominees for Deputy Council were announced. As soon as I turned my phone on, I was flooded with messages and missed calls. I had 4 2-minute voice notes from Krish Razdan, and to be very honest, my first thought was that this was just a rant about his idol, Buff Aditya Mehta. But the top message I saw was from Aditya himself, and it read, "Hi Rohan, I know you're probably disheartened." That was when I knew that something I had dreamt about ever since I've been in Moulsari, being the Secretary of Activities, was now impossible for me. I didn't even get a chance to stand for it. And honestly, at that moment, I wasn't even sure if I should stand for the post of Head of Activities. But then Avi Dayani messaged me saying, "Rohan, you should like appeal to the senior council because bro, you legit give me council vibes." Krishank Khandelwal told me, and I quote, "Bro, aisa to ho hi nahi sakta." And Adir Mathur called me saying, "I know this sucks, but this is a great way to start your senior council speech." And even though Adir disappeared for the next 45 months, my passion for events never faded. As head of activities, my main aim would be to make events more accessible to students of all classes and especially for all interests. While we will, of course, have events such as ad acting and quizzes, we should also expand into events such as inter-house filmmaking, which can allow people like Rohan Lakhani and Kabir Puri to unleash their inner Christopher Nolan, or inter-house creative writing competitions, and even host a TEDx talk in our school for students to learn more about something that they're passionate about from successful experts. The reason I want to do this is that activities has been a large part of my school life, and I want it to be the same for all of you. From pulling down Arav Tandon's pants on stage in 7th grade to finding baby pictures of Amaya Makhni and making them my Zoom background for all ad acting practices. Some of my fondest memories in school have been while I was taking part in or practicing for an event, and I want everyone in our school to make these fond memories as well. To do this, we can take inspiration from undoubtedly the greatest invention of the 21st century, Swiggy Instamart. What Swiggy Instamart teaches us is that if you want chicken nuggets in 15 minutes, you will get chicken nuggets in 15 minutes. The key is efficiency. And as the head of activities, I would ensure that the activities department is as efficient as possible. This will allow us to plan and host more events, get feedback on which events students and teachers liked and which they didn't, and communicate with participants and house captains more effectively. Now, being the head of activities this year will be different than most as we transition from online school to in-person. While there will always be uncertainty, I'm optimistic that beloved events such as inter-house dance and inter-house bandstand can be brought back to the real stage. However, this will require a large degree of precaution, and as your head of activities, I would do my best to ensure that everyone, be it students, teachers, or didis and bhaiyas, stays safe. While this could mean hosting events outdoors, such as when the Audi was renovating for 50 years, I believe that it will still be better than Aditya Mehta typing a comma in the Zoom chat to interject you in inter-house chat. Activities have always given me a strong sense of belonging and enabled me to become the person that I am today. My promise to you, grades 10 to 12, is that I will do my level best to ensure that each of you feels the same way. I'm not the same person as the one who was sitting on that flight, staring at his phone and looking down upon himself. I believe that I've developed as a student, a leader, and a friend. While I wasn't able to fight for secretary last year, I'm grateful to be here giving this speech and want to make the best of this opportunity by flourishing as your next head of activities. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Rohan. You spoke about this past year and the disappointment of not being nominated for Secretary of Activities. How have you overcome that and contributed to activities this year?
Right. I think the main way that I was able to overcome that was by being actively involved in the Shriram environment and the activities environment. So ranging from taking part in activities like ad acting and TED quizzes and jam to actually organizing some of the behind the scene activities. I was secretary of the Science Society and I got to organize events such as Shri Khoj. And I think that still gave me the leadership skills that it requires to lead the activities department as head.
Sure. Thank you for your answer, Rohan. Our next candidate is Udayaman Chopra.
Quoting Rick Ross, I'm single, I'm enjoying life, being a boss. Like all true bosses, one day you gotta give it up. Sorry, my G, but I can't give it up just yet. You probably don't know who I am. You've never seen me around in school. You're probably sitting with your cameras off because it's your third power cut of the day, or simply because Teams isn't letting you turn your camera on, wondering who on earth this guy is. Well, the reason you don't know me is that, as my guy Lil Wayne said, real G's move in silence like lasagna. I'm Udayaman Chopra, and I'm running to be your head of activities. This is my first time running for a council position, despite my extensive leadership experience having been the class rep for my batch back in grade 5. Jokes aside, I didn't run for deputy council because I had just joined the school, but immediately engaged in activities and worked with the department as the secretary of the debate society. I'm fairly proficient at eating as well, which you probably saw in my introductory video. So when you head to the form to submit your ballot, keep in mind that I'm always ready to push my weight around to get you what you want. In all seriousness, however, here's why my understanding of events is different from other candidates. I've been on both sides of events at this school. I've attended as a competitor from another school, as well as working behind the scenes with the activity department. I know how to optimize the experience for each and every one of you, whether you're a participant or even if you're just a spectator. I have a few ideas on how to push the department to do its best this year. Starting with regular forms to gauge your interest so that we can give you the assemblies and events that you want, and encouraging participation through feedback forms and audience polls, which I also spoke about in my introductory video. I want to bring new events to the school, such as inter-house stand-up comedy, inter-house family feud for the students this time, an inter-house pop culture quiz, and inter-house squid game, where instead of eliminating you, we force you to listen to Adir listing out his debate achievements. And if he's unavailable, in true Adir fashion, we'll have Aditya tell you about his workout regimen. I know while most of you have been distracted by my good looks or my disarming smile, don't be, because I still need your vote to make the changes that you want and need. And of course, to allow my lesser good looking fellow candidates to have a fair shot at the post. I am approachable. You can call me at any time, day or night. In fact, I never sleep, especially from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. when I hang upside down from this ceiling absorbing debate material. I'm also level-headed, so you can reach out to me whenever you need help in stressful times. I'm always willing to listen to what you have to say, because to me, this post is not about putting my ideas in place, but it's for all of us to work together to give an enjoyable experience to everyone. I believe I have what it takes. Getting this post means a lot to me because at this point, I'm the underdog. But if there's any school where a completely new student can rise to a council position, it's the Sri Ram School. I'm Udayaman Chopra, and I'm asking you to put your faith in me and make me the next head of activities. Vote for me for an enjoyable year and for the real G, Lil Wayne.
Thank you for that speech, Uday. Now, debating in grade 12 are both time-intensive activities and undertakings. How do you intend to balance your time set of activities with the aforementioned endeavors?
So I already work on like scheduling my day, so I cut out time for everything. I'm willing to cut back on a little bit of debating if it means I have to focus more and more on this post, because I'm willing to give this post my all and bring the best experience to everyone in the school.
Sure. Thank you so much, Uday. Our next candidate for today is Vidal Khosla.
Being Ben 10 was always the dream. But when I realized that the Omnitrix didn't actually exist and I don't have a nemesis that looks like a Sith Lord, I decided to settle for standing for head of activities instead. Namaste, everyone. My name is Vidal Khosla and I'm standing for, well, head of activities. I've always believed that activities has the ability to bring the school together. It's one of those elements of our school that I think extends across all grades, houses, and boards, and that makes it the biggest catalyst of school spirit. But much like Jake Gyllenhaal's fan base, over the last year, I've seen that spirit decline because of online school and how isolated we've become from one another. Now, personally, I've always wanted our school to be a place where we can make some memories, where it doesn't matter who you are or how you feel about Juice World. You feel safe and secure in school, and that allows you to have some fun. And I think that's something that we may have lost in the past few years. The buzz that comes with the Sriram school. That feeling has become rare, but I was there when it was always around, and I remember it all too well. The feeling of excitement when you know that there's always something going on. And I want to bring that feeling back by breaking the monotony of logging into class every single day and logging out 6 hours later. I think there's just got to be more to our childhoods than that, and I'm the person who can make that change. And I think the first step, and it's something that we've been pushing for the long time, is having assemblies during school hours. Now, this doesn't mean having them on Friday from 1 to 1:30 instead of 1:30 to 2. It means having them on Tuesday at a random 11 a.m. like we used to a few years ago. And I think this ensures that everyone who works so hard to put up such incredible performances gets the spotlight that they deserve, and you guys get to have fun irrespective of whether school is online or offline. Secondly, I want to start emphasizing on events for middle school. April onwards, we could have a scenario where the entirety of middle school would never have attended a proper year of school at the campus. And even ninth grade had only 1 year of proper school, where because the Audi was under construction, we had to have events in the football field, which, trust me, Gansham Bhaiya was not at all happy about. And I think that's really the time where you form your core memories of school. I want to have events like ad acting, debate, and jam for juniors, as well as for seniors. I want to introduce new events like Interhouse Jeopardy, online escape rooms, Pictionary, and a Monopoly tournament. I want to have live audiences and continue with live voting for assemblies, so we know how you feel about assemblies and can use that information to make every single event better than the last. Now, I know the ideal scenario would be physical school, and I want the next physical activity day to be an endgame level event. To maintain social distancing, we can have multiple events by various departments and societies simultaneously, and then have the two biggest events of the year, bandstand and dance, in the football field like we used to. For example, the Film Appreciation Society could have a movie screening in the AV room and the perception room for grades 6 and 7, while at the same time, grades 10 and 12 could gather in the Audi for senior debate. I also want to push for having more physical assemblies. We need to start having events in physical school again. Our online event structure absolutely cannot become the norm. We can live stream assemblies to classrooms, and some grades can even watch at the venue itself, depending on what social distancing allows. Guys, I want to promise each and every single one of you, whether school is online, offline, or hybrid, if you vote for me, I'll make events as exciting as watching No Way Home for the first time. You'll have the events you want. Vote for me and I'll ensure your ideas are the ones the school gets to see, because more often than not, your ideas will be my ideas. Except for Interhouse Too Hot to Handle. A lot of you seem to be obsessed with having that event, and I'm telling you now, it's not happening. Vote for me and I'll make this event the most memorable one yet. And even though I'm never going to achieve my dream of being a crime-fighting 10-year-old with a magic watch, I still think I'd make a fantastic head of activities. So guys, together, let's go make some memories. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Vidal. Tell me about one event that you thought could have been improved upon this past year, and how would you go about doing it?
Okay. Last year, I think one of the best things we did was actually have online events, first of all, because that's something that I know we struggled to do. I know last year we had Shri Symphony, and I know that was intended to be the musical event of the year, but I still think given a little more planning, it would have been possible to have an online version of Bandstand. We could have informed the houses and everyone involved maybe months in advance if that was needed to be, so they could prepare their performances accordingly and have enough time to compile it together.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vidal. Your next candidate for today is Yvonne Berry.
I spent a lot of time thinking about what kind of speech I want to give today, whether I want it to be funny, whether I want it to be emotional or quirky. And I finally decided that I will not be telling you guys what you want to hear, because I think anyone can do that. Anyone can promise you chili potatoes for every school lunch, a bunch of free periods, and Manisha Ma'am's birthday as a school holiday. but I'm going to talk to you about what I can do realistically. I want this speech to be honest because you guys deserve that. I know the past year hasn't been an easy one for any of us. There has been disappointment as a lot of traditional events that we look forward to haven't been able to happen. I guess none of us really expected COVID to get so bad. So, before I start my speech, I want to make a promise to each and every one of you. I promise to do my best, regardless of what post I get or if I get any post at all, to make this year the funnest. Wait, I'm really sorry, I don't know if that's a word. And if it's not, I'm sorry, Rupa Mom. One that we've had so far, so that we can make up and more for any missed opportunities. Because when life gives you lemons, yeah. Having been a part of the activities team last year, I've since confirmed an inkling I had the last time we spoke. I really, really love this department and all the amazing people in it because honestly, they work so tirelessly for us. And I want to start off by thanking the team. Shell ma'am, Upasna ma'am, Aditya and Vidur. Thank you for giving me so many opportunities to grow as a person and as a leader. I would also like to thank each of you for putting your faith in me and for trusting me with the position of secretary because I've honestly learned so much. Namaskar, everyone. My name is Yvonne Ambery, and I'm standing here hoping that you'll put your faith in me one more time. I'm standing before you today, hoping to be your next head of events. Having been a part of the activities department, I understand the dynamics and the ropes. I understand where we've gone wrong, but I also understand what we've done right. Coordinating between different departments in order to execute events, I know how important effective communication is for this post. Leadership is about people. It's about connection. It's about motivation. It's about collaboration. And I believe that the power of this community surpasses that of the individual. Having experience in leadership, being secretary of activities and firm rep, I think I've honed my skills in effective communication. To me, communication is about being approachable and open to new ideas. It's about embracing diversity, but more importantly, it's about knowing when to take a step back and listen. And for me, the most important thing to listen to is your ideas, your dreams, what each of you want to see changed. So I want to share a few ideas I have for you guys so that all of us can engage in a wider variety of new opportunities. We all know and love the competitive spirit of She events, but at the same time, I don't think that's all there is to activities. I don't want events to be a playing field for the best of the best alone. I want activities where everyone can just sit back and have fun. I want to make this year more about experiences than just outcomes. Firstly, I'd like to present to you Keeping Up with the Ramites, not the Kardashians, a type of sit-down comedy with a twist, which can include a retelling of the most humorous and iconic moments of the month. Secondly, MasterChef TSRS, with rounds including guessing the ingredient after tasting the dish, guessing the dish from the picture, naming the English or Hindi counterpart of the ingredient, and identifying the famous chef. I think an activities marathon over the festive season can include Diwali, Halloween, and Christmas challenges like Rangoli competitions, pumpkin carving competitions, carol night, and a Christmas tree decoration challenge. A few other events could include She Whodunit or She Sherlock, the reintroduction of Bandstand, a few new additions to Litfest like say a mimicry competition, and inter-house dumb charades and antakshari. I'm sure you guys can see that I have a lot of ideas that I'm really excited about implementing. But this isn't about me. It's about you. I'm really looking forward to hearing your ideas because if you put your faith in me, I will make them my #1 priority so that we can make the most of this year together. In the beginning of my speech, I said, when life gives you lemons. And I think I know how to complete that phrase now. When life gives you lemons, make lemon cheesecake. Metaphorically speaking, of course. And I think that's the best way to make this year count. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Yvonne. What is the most important quality that differentiates you from the other candidates standing for this post?
So I think one thing that definitely differentiates me from the other candidates standing in this post is that I've been on both sides of the spectrum. So in the past, I was someone who was very hesitant about stepping outside my comfort zone, and I really didn't want to challenge myself or push myself. I didn't think it was necessary. But after that, there came a point where I realized that I was missing out on a lot of opportunities and a lot of fun. So I started participating in everything. And that made me understand just how important it is. So I think as head of activities, I can help bridge the gap and close the spectrum. So I think that's one thing that sets me apart.
Thank you for that answer, Yvonne. Well done, all of you. I really love those speeches. Again, best of luck to each and every one of you. Now, I'd like to invite Nishka Bindra, Head of Sports Girls, to introduce her candidates as well.
Thank you, Aditya. As I address you as your head of sports for one of the last times, I just want to take a minute to say thank you. Thank you for trusting me and placing your faith in me. I've always been that one overly sentimental kid, very attached to the idea of student council, but unfortunately, we haven't had one normal day in my last 2 terms. And while that was incredibly disappointing, it's comforting knowing that our legacy will be carried on by a very deserving group of students. That being said, I urge you all to vote responsibly. Don't vote for someone because they're your best friend, have the nicest video, or the funniest speech. Vote because you genuinely believe they're the most deserving candidate. I am so proud of each and every one of our nominees, Kavya, Devki, Anva, Yuvraj, and Kabir. That being said, your candidates for the Head of Sports Girls 2022 to 2023 are Kavya Ryan and Devki Dhar. Your first nominee for the day is Devki Dhar.
Athletes, on your marks, set, go. An underconfident, shy, nervous, and approximately 4 feet tall girl ran her first ever 40-meter race, wearing the school white shirt and shorts that reached her ankles. When that girl crossed the finish line, she realized she came third out of 3 people. Still, she hopped onto the podium extremely proud of herself until she heard a booming voice on the microphone. इतनी लंबी घोड़े की टांगे हैं, तुम्हें athlete बनना चाहिए. Yes, that was Manoj sir referring to me as a horse and the start of my journey as a sports person. Today, that same girl, okay, not the same, a much taller, much more confident, hardworking, approachable, dedicated, and fearless girl is standing before you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Devki Dhar, and I'm hoping to be your next head of sports. Somewhere behind the athlete I've become, behind the several hours of practice, the coaches who have pushed me, the obstacles I've faced, and the medals I have won, is a little girl who fell in love with this sport and never looked back. I'm playing for her. Doing sports is like a roller coaster. Ups, downs, twists, turns, but at the end of the day, it's a good ride. And my journey was worse than the roller coasters at Six Flags. You learn more from losing than winning. You learn how to keep going. And like every other athlete, I've had my fair share of ups and downs. I know what it feels like to lose to Leela by 50 meters in a 100-meter race. But I also know what it feels like to qualify for All India Nationals. I know what it feels like when you tear your hamstring a day before an important race. But I also know what it feels like to run with that torn hamstring and win the race. What I'm trying to say is that I know how much it hurts when you lose a race or a match. I'll be your shoulder to cry on. I'll be there to celebrate with you when you win that event or at least try to participate in it. I'll be there to encourage and motivate you with my so-called speeches when you need me to. I'll be there to stretch your hamstrings when they're sore after a match. I'll be there to refill your bottles when they're over, and I'll be there to run across the field and lend my spikes if you need them. Grades 10 to 12. Over the last few years, through all the blood, sweat, running races with 101 fever, tonsillitis, and tears, I've done as much as I could, hoping that one day I would be able to stand before you as a nominee for the head of sports. I've done things that I've loved, hated, and crossed my limits for, but the few things that have remained constant are my love for sports, my determination, and dream to see my name on that board as the head of sports. I still remember the day, 19th June 2021, and your nominations for the position of Secretary of Sports Girls are, I heard everyone's names except mine, and to be fair, that did lead to a lot of tears, probably the most heartbroken I've ever been. But that was the day I realized how much this very post and this white shirt mean to me. Rudyard Kipling once said, "For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack." And so I'm asking you all to be a part of my pack. I promise to lead by example, to inspire those around me, to embody the core values of the school, to work hard, and to step up when you need me.
I'll be there for Krishna when he's winning that 400 meters. I'll be there for Rahil when he jumps across the pit. I'll be there for Ananya when she reaches the penalties in a match. I'll be there for Kavya when she raises the bar. I'll be there for Nyomaka when she starts the relay. I'll be there for Sarvika and Manya when they're on that court. I'll be there for Shiv and Kabir when they're scoring 5 goals each. I'll be there for Riya when she's hurdling across the track. I'll be there for Nitika when she tries throwing a javelin but it lands right back at her. I'll be there for Yuvraj when he's on the cricket pitch. And I promise to be there for each and every one of you, wherever and whenever you need me, on the track, on the field, in the pool, or even on Microsoft Teams. In all seriousness, I have failed so many times, but I haven't given up. And now I'm standing before you, hoping you have some faith in me. Now I'm coming close to the end of one of the most important races of my life. The last 100 meters is left. But this time, the finish line is just the beginning of a whole new journey. And I'm ready to give it my all, to push my limits, and to fly across the line. Yet again, I have 3 choices to make: to give up, give in, or give it all I've got. 10-year-old Devki would have given up by now, but 16-year-old Devki has decided to give it her all. For everyone who thought I couldn't do it, for everyone who thought I shouldn't do it, for everyone who said it's impossible, see you at the finish line. So one last time, grades 10 to 12. My name is Devki Dhar. I'm this close to my dream, hoping you elect me as your next head of sports and fulfill it. Thank you.
Thank you, Devaki. Great speech. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you see as the future of the sports department? This can be a new event, a new initiative, whatever.
Yeah. So I want to introduce one thing if I get elected as the new head of sports. So like for houses, there's a house captain, there's a vice captain, and there's form reps. I feel like we should introduce something which is known as a sports rep. So basically, I feel like the problem that we're facing with participation in inter-house or inter-school competitions is that we're not aware about the events well in advance. So we don't have enough time to prepare for it. The sports department already has so much going on. So I propose like sports reps. This will increase communication between the student body, help the department distribute all their work, and help increase participation. Thank you.
Your next candidate for the day is Kavya Ryan.
It was a sunny October morning in 2019 when all the athletes were warming up for field events. In other words, my favorite events. Every year I look forward to this day, but the passion, drive, and excitement I felt in 2019 is one that I will never be able to explain. I was motivated, ready to give it my all, not ready to accept anything other than victory. So began triple jump, an event with 3 different steps within one jump, an event I was taking part in officially for the very first time. Also an event that made me believe in love at first sight. Namaste everyone, my name is Kavya Ryan and I stand before you today hoping that you elect me as your next head of sports. For those of you who aren't familiar with triple jump, the jump goes by you first hop, then skip, and then take your final jump. Missing even one of these steps would not allow you to give your best jump. So now let me tell you a little about my 3 steps, the 3 most significant parts of my journey with sports, the ones that have brought me here. Step 1, the hop, my first athletics competition in senior school in 6th grade. With ripples of excitement filling up every inch of my body, I packed my bags for the competition which was being held in Bangalore. I really wasn't expecting to win anything in this competition. All I was looking to do is gain from a new experience and learn. But once my event began, a different emotion took over. Something inside of me was telling me that I needed to push myself. And so I did. The adrenaline rush I felt after is one that I'll truly never forget. But it didn't take me long to realize that winning the event is not what gave me that rush, the satisfaction of giving it my all did. And that's when I made the decision to commit myself to athletics. Step 2, the skip, becoming your Secretary of Sports. Hearing Anushka announce my name as the Secretary of Sports on 26 June was most definitely one of the happiest moments of my life. But absolutely nothing compares to the 7 months that followed. The 7 months that taught me the ins and outs of the sports department. The 7 months in which I was able to interact with all my juniors, get to know them, and understand what they want in the coming year. The 7 months that gave me the opportunity to enhance my leadership skills and gave me the experience that I needed to be able to confidently say that I love everything about this post. I love seeing all of you excel in the events we were able to have last year. But what I love to see even more is when you pushed your limits and stepped out of your comfort zone. I especially loved it when Shiv Chadda did high jump for the very first time and beat my best jump, even though I've been doing it since 6th grade. Yeah, Shiv, I'm still salty. On a more serious note, I've learned so much while being a part of the Deputy Council, and I'd give all the credit for this to Anushka and Jaisal. They guided me through every step, and I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you. I'm confident that I can do justice to this position because both of you have prepared me for it. What I also learned is that exactly what would benefit us moving forward. So here's what I'd like to work on. Last year, the sports department created a well-designed plan for the sports club. I'd like to make sure that we execute this idea this year. Having a sports club will help us keep spirits high even during online school. So if you have thoughts on Kohli stepping down, Messi moving to PSG, or frustration towards the European Super League, you know exactly where you can share them now. Next, I'd like to work towards amplifying another previously established initiative that focused on starting a conversation on mental health and eating disorders, issues that are relevant to both athletes and non-athletes. Now, let me tell you how that triple jump event went. I was coming second till my very last jump. I was on the verge of giving up and accepting second place as my fate. And then, once again, a different emotion took over. Something inside of me was telling me that I needed to push myself. And I ended up winning a gold. So I stand before you today on step 3 of my journey, the final jump. Today, I ask you to trust me one more time and give me the honor of becoming your sports captain. I tried to put my best foot forward in the last 2 steps, and I want you all to take this speech as a promise that if you put your faith in me again, I will do everything I can to ensure that your vote does not go to waste. This is my last jump, and everything inside of me is telling me that I need to give it my all. Grades 10 to 12. I stand before you today with crossed fingers, a heart full of hope, and a mind filled with ideas, hoping that you put your faith in me and make me your next head of sports. Thank you.
Kavya, great speech. What, according to you, is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness?
Okay, so I think my biggest strength is that I'm able to empathize and understand people. I think specifically this helps me with sports is because there's a lot of students who aren't as open to trying out new sports and who get scared because they think it's all about competing and winning. And I think I'm able to convince students that there's so much more you can get out of sports. I would say my biggest weakness is that I tend to take on too much upon myself, especially when I care about something. And as much as I care about this post, I didn't delegate as much work as I should have. But my experiences last year as secretary taught me how to delegate work, how to give responsibilities, and how to work in a team with the entire department. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for your response. Next, I call upon Jaisal Nath, your head of sports boys, to introduce the nominees.
Thank you, Anushka. Good morning, classes 10 to 12. As you get ready to elect your next sports captain, here's a word of advice from your outgoing one. Vote wisely because this is truly the best job a guy can have. Trust me, I speak from experience. I've learned a lot from this job, how to handle the euphoric wins, the bittersweet losses, and the time you spend dusting yourself off and getting ready for one more fight. So thank you, classes 10 to 12, for putting your faith in me as your sports captain. It's been my greatest honor to help each and every single one of you spirit to your own victories, like Firoz Sarna and Keshav Vaidya did for me. And I know I'm passing on the torch to another very deserving set of candidates. Speaking of which, your nominees are Yvonne Jaipuria, Anvay Mathur, and Kabir Puri. Your first candidate for today is Anvay Mathur.
It's been raining for the past few days and I haven't been able to go for a run. But being a true sports lover, I've been dribbling with lots of ideas and mentally jogging as to what I should say today. Well, with that, namaste everyone. My name is Anvay Mathur. At the start, I want to compliment all of you. You made a great choice last year by electing me as your Secretary of Sports. And now it's time for you to vote for me as your Head of Sports. Being a part of every team since junior school, I've come across some of the most positive and motivating people. Anushka, Rahil, Sharan, Trishang, Krishna Kayal, Sarthak, and I've made some lifelong friends, Virat, Siddhant, and Neil. Football has brought me close to so many people, like Ryan, Shet, Vitabya, Ashwin, Sai, Arman, and Dhruva. For me, it's not just about winning medals or trophies, but about displaying my passion and commitment both on and off the field. And of course, bringing glory to my school. For me, it's not just a game. For me, it's a way of life. The grueling training sessions, all excited at 5:30 in the morning, pushing my limits to better my best, getting up and trying again when I fall, extensive practice with my teammates and being there for them, playing fair no matter what, learning from my teachers and also my seniors and peers. Sports actually teaches you some of the greatest lessons of life. Sports has taught me self discipline, dedication, and to always have a positive spirit. And above all, integrity. Being your Secretary of Sports last year, I learned many things. But firstly, I was able to learn the spelling of the word secretary. Well, jokes aside, this position has taught me how to collaborate with others and be part of a team. Jaisal, Anushka, Kavya, and I work together to help each other out to conduct various events. I learned that this position is so much more than just a badge. It's a responsibility that comes with it. This position is not just about being good at sports, it's about being good at sports while balancing everything else in your life. I learned that I needed to be flexible, especially in the hybrid setup, to overcome all the obstacles and be a true leader. This position is the faith that everyone has had in me over the last year and that I will be your voice. Organizing sporting events, online or offline, participation from as many as possible, focusing on fitness, especially in these times, and also mental well being through sports are some of the initiatives I would really like to take forward. Here are some fun events that I would like to introduce in the coming year. So, firstly, in an online medium, there's no better way to reignite the house spirit than by having inter house gaming competitions. And the games will be chosen by all of you via Google Forms. Secondly, to start off, as I know many of you out there are into watching and playing football, I would like to introduce Inter-House Fantasy Premier League, which would carry house points with it, of course. The points for this would work on an overall as well as a game week basis. Trust me, it's much more interesting than it sounds. Thirdly, I would love to have weekly sports meetings with my juniors and seniors to get to know them better and ignite the house spirit. In these meetings, we can have short code quizzes or fun debates regarding players or sports. Before I end, I would like to quote George Orwell: who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the future. You chose me as your Secretary of Sports in the past year. And now I'm ready to take that one step ahead. Vote for me as your next head of sports. I'm Anvay Mathur. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Great speech, Anvay. Now, for your question, I'd like you to tell me your biggest strength and one of your weaknesses.
So thanks for the question, Jaisal. So to start off with my strength, I think my biggest strength, like I mentioned in my speech as well, is the fact that I'm a very positive person. Just to give an example, in 2019, I was supposed to go to Ooty for a running camp, and 2 days before, I tore my ligament. The doctors told me I couldn't run. My parents told me I should take it easy, but I went on that trip and had a great time. And this shows that I'm very strong and that I'm capable to do anything. So coming to my weakness, so this is something that I've been able to overcome in the past year. So studies and sports can sometimes be a challenge, but managing my time is something that I've become very good at, and I'm able to use my time very efficiently and be productive with whatever I'm doing. So yeah, thanks for your question, Jaisal.
Our next candidate for today is Kabir Puri.
It's 2018. I was in 8th grade and it was my year. I was feeling fit and ready to finally lift the Athlete of the Year trophy. As sports day approached, it was looking good until a sweet-looking giant named Jaisal came up to me and asked, "What's up, bro? What all events are you doing?" We had identical events. This led to an intense rivalry that went down to our last race, 400 meters. I had the lead throughout, but at the absolute end, Jaisal, with a horrifying expression, pushed himself to get literally a millisecond ahead of me. He picked up the trophy. My crush ignored me and asked him for his number. And that's when I knew I had truly lost. The first few days, all I could think about is how the school should make Jaisal take an overage test. But after the saltiness faded away, I realized what happened. Jaisal ran with absolute hunger, aimed for that gold medal with pure passion. In retrospect, that race gave me a clearer picture on what sports and, more importantly, life is all about. A constant chase for excellence, a constant chase towards a goal that means the most to you. That made me wonder, what ignites that essential hunger in me? What keeps me chasing and dreaming? Those moments of deep thinking got me started on this journey, full of beautiful experiences that continue to mature and shape me. This journey has brought me so close to achieving that goal I set for myself all those years ago. It has brought me here in front of all of you. Namaste, everyone. My name is Kabir Puri, and I am hoping to be your next head of sports. Sports has always been the defining part of my life. However, as an athlete in the school, I have always faced one hurdle, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I'm on the older side of my grade, and that prevents me from taking part in tournaments with my own age group. Therefore, I've been the youngest player on several occasions. I have played CB, center bench, for multiple matches, watching unforgettable sportsmen of our school like Aditya Patni, Firoz, Ayman, and Yatharth Redu. Wait, sorry. Scratch out your thought, scratch out your thought. But I never saw this as a problem. I saw it as experience. It embedded essential qualities in me, which made me a more effective leader. My time on the bench taught me patience. I learned to assess every obstacle with composure and conquer them without making any rash decisions. It made me learn perseverance. Every time I got disheartened, I bounced back and trained harder till I became a central part of the football team. I went on to play countless tournaments, nationals in football thrice, and even nationals in athletics. As a leader, my ability to gel with people has always helped me. My confidence and approachability enable me to motivate, empathize with, and hear people's unique perspectives. I have the self-assurance to be the odd one out when necessary and guide people in the right direction. As head of sports, these qualities will help me handle high-pressure situations, communicate effectively, and inspire all of you to excel. Further, I'm very keen to introduce exciting initiatives which will increase the remarkable energy sports brings. I will establish a sports society, a lively community of people who are passionate about sports. The society will stream movies and documentaries, hold quizzes, and discuss sporting events. Secondly, to increase participation, I will introduce a Google form in which students can fill the sports that they are interested in. This will increase coaches' radars as they will be able to notice new prospects for school teams. In addition, the form can assist the sports department in informing students about future tryouts and practices related to their individual interests. Thirdly, and I know this is super important to all of us, though I can't guarantee it, I promise I will try my absolute best to get house matches back. House matches are the backbone of sports in our school, so it's my highest priority to start them again. I want to tell all of you about a moment that truly inspired me. It was 0-0 at halftime in the under-17 state football final. Us juniors were shaking with fear. But for the first time, Keshav actually clutched up as a captain. He made all of us take a deep breath and said we have nothing to worry about because our team united was special. For some reason, those simple words hyped all of us up and we won 2-0. I know now that more than his words, it was his energy. I want to have that kind of calming effect on all of you. I want to inspire all of you to win, empathize with all of you if you lose. I want all of you to know there's a guy in some class struggling to solve simple multiplication who will always be there for you no matter what, who's going to guide you if you're feeling off track, and most importantly, learn from all of you. Give me your vote, and I promise I will not let you down. Once again, I am Kabir Puri, and I would be honored to be your next head of sports.
Great speech, Kabir. So, Google Forms have been introduced in the past and they've been ineffective. So, how do you feel that you would improve the level of efficiency of those forms? Because you mentioned that you would use those forms during your tenure.
Yeah. So, how I feel I can increase the quality of this idea is to make it a focused channel of information, specifically to inform students about upcoming tryouts and practices. And I feel this is necessary because people often miss out on tryouts, and because it goes in WhatsApp, it gets lost in WhatsApp groups, and juniors may have restricted time on their devices. And I also have noticed that school teams usually have a restricted amount of players in the team. It's very fixed. So I feel the form through its channeled through channeling information will help students really participate and help coaches find new prospects for the school teams.
Our next candidate for the day is Yuvraj Jaipuria.
It's the last over. 1 wicket left, and the batsman just one boundary away from lifting the winner's cup. The team's strike bowler is out injured. Who gets the ball? Ishayu, thinking hard, looks at each one of his 10 players and decides to put his faith in the short kid that just made his way into putting on the TSRS jersey. Well, that short kid who's reliving his best moments with you right now was completely blank when Ishayu screamed across the field, UV, Aja ball dal. And if one senior's pressure wasn't enough, don't worry. Pradyun soon followed with UV, chill karke daliyo. Well, that UV couldn't think straight, and Tamalsa couldn't watch anymore from the sidelines. All I remember is bowling the ball 1 second and the next getting high fives from everywhere. The short kid had done it and hopes to do it again for each one of you, although definitely not so short enough. Grades 10 to 12, I am Yuvraj Jaipuria, standing to be your next head of sports. For me, sports aren't just those 90 minutes on the soccer field. Rather, the hours of work and KD Sir's master strategies that go into making those 90 minutes worthwhile. It isn't just about the result, rather about the process. So don't worry if you miss the first basket, because with Narendra Sir's 6:30 a.m. trainings, there is no way you're going to miss the second. Having greatly been involved with the sports department ever since I was a junior, it brings to me a great sense of comfort that I hope to bring to all of you. Having led the cricket, TT, and Barry teams of the school, as well as playing cricket on a national level, I know on a personal scale what it takes to be the guiding force and exactly how much this post will demand from me. Whether it be being away from school for 2-month tours and catching up on studies, or giving an exam and playing a match on the very same day, I go through it all on a daily basis. And the responsibilities of head of sports are something that I'm looking forward to, something that I hope to embrace to help each one of you be the best you that you can be. As far as the school sporting community is concerned, I feel that we've had some great ideas over the terms, but poor execution with the challenges in the uncertainty of COVID or the digital side of things. For example, the parent portal has a number of academic facilities with updated calendars and every little announcement. So why can't we do the same with sports? The inter-house and inter-school area remain blank on the portal, while there is no such schedule created for school sporting events at all. As head of sports, this would be my first area of focus. And once we do have an organized platform, we could open up student-centric polls so as to introduce creative new events that can be organized, such as inter-house reel competitions, which is not only fun and trendy, but a great way to keep your body moving. Ramites, every single shot put attempt, every single bus ride with the team, and every single sports day cheering on for the house has led up to this very moment, the moment that I can call proudly my perfect culmination of the schooling journey. With my experience, I hope to bring to you an unforgettable year with an improved outlook on sports in our school and many more memories like Kostab getting chased down by the dogs on our way to the IBSO match. I wish you can put the same faith in me that the short kid got so many years back. And I promise to you that no matter what the circumstances are, you'll get 200% of me aiming towards being the best sports head you have ever seen. So once again, I, Yuvraj Jaipuria, stand in front of you, hoping to be your next sports captain. Thank you.
That was a great speech, Yuvraj. So my question for you is, what do you think makes you a good role model for juniors?
Thank you for your question, Jessa. I think with my experience of having led sites and being captain, I already have a feel of what it is to be a leader. And following my multitasking skills on whether it's balancing academics with sports and even a social life, I do prove to be a good role model to everyone, whether it be inspiring them through my expertise in cricket or the other sports that I play. Thank you for your question.
With that, we come to the end of the 2022 Senior Council White Shirts Face to Face. All of you did an incredible job today, and we could feel your passion through the screen. And I can't wait to see some of your ideas come to life in the upcoming year. Now it's time for voting. Classes 10 to 12, please be honest to yourselves and vote responsibly.
As always, voting will take place in a preferential system. So you need to rank the candidates in order of your preference. The voting forms will go live right after this video ends. And since the forms are only open for a few minutes, please send in your votes as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope you enjoyed the speeches just as much as we did.